Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all glory, honor, and praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai. Double honors to the apostle elders, a great millstone who rule well. And salutations to all you brothers out there pushing this word in love, truth, sincerity, and humility. Once again, it's the brother Shatir from the Chicago camp coming back to you with what I hope is another quick and edifying sit down. And today's video is going to be on the site, The Common Sense Show with Dave Hodges, and he's talking about this incident in New York where 12,000 students have been kicked out. So we're going to let him speak on this, and we'll get some scripture.
That's hidewithdave.com. So why are 12,000 students, 86 out of the New York public school system? You gotta believe Cuomo ain't far away. Do you have any reasons behind why you think they do this? Is anyone suspicious about the motives? Well, I can tell you what the official reason is. 12,000 students refused, or their parents refused, to sign a consent form that would allow school officials to test them at any time for COVID. Do the schools have the right to do this? Well, actually, they do. I know. I hear you. The tests have been proven to not be totally accurate. No, I hear you. But at the end of the day, can the schools do what they're doing? Say no test, no school. The answer is yes, they can. Because this is a declared pandemic. Oh, I know, I hear you yelling and throwing things at me right now. But it's a declared pandemic. And as such, the schools have the right to mandate certain behaviors in response to that pandemic. Am I saying I'm agreeing with it? No, I'm not saying I disagree with it. What I'm saying is the schools are within their rights. How do you strike back? You're not going to win legally. So how do you think you'd strike back? Any thoughts? Well, I can tell you how you strike back. Your kids don't go to New York public schools. You homeschool, private school, whatever it is, but your kids don't go to New York public schools. You say, I think this is invasive, this is intrusive, I disagree with your approach. I recognize you have the legal right to do it, but my kid's out of here. Oh my. Here's the reality. We are in a situation where these pandemic regulations are going to intrude and spill over onto institutions. And the institutions are going to be making choices. What the institutions aren't counting on is that you too can also make a choice. Not to participate. Not to go to a business, not to go to the school. Let me ask you a question here. If you had 100,000 students in New York City say, I ain't doing this, whatever this would be, what would that happen to the school? Well, funding would be dramatically cut since it's usually done on a per pupil basis. Teachers would lose their jobs. Schools would be forced to superintendent and saying, what are you doing? You don't go to the business. And if enough people make up, this is what people don't realize. You don't have to be a victim of a policy you disagree with. I will tell you this, though. They have the absolute right to do this. So, what do you think? You people in New York City, are you willing to exercise your choice? Or are you going to continue to give in to things that you don't agree with? Some of you have absolutely no problem with it, okay? This is a non-issue for you. But those of you that do, again, you have choices. That's it for the Common Sense Show. Please.
Like Dave said, you know, this whole boogeyman thing, a lot of the legislation that's being rolled out is slowly but surely creeping into your everyday life, whether it's your job, and in this situation, the school. And kudos to many of those parents who are just like, no, I'm not going. I'm not having my child tested. Because they know that if they allow this to happen, then they're just going to keep going and keep going, which they eventually are, because as Dave said, there's many parents who are completely down with the program. But there are people who are not ignorant to what these folks are trying to do. Actually, I wasn't planning on getting that. 2 Corinthians 2:11. And it says, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. Because all this is going to do is just give these schools more abusive authority, or authority in which they can abuse. But see, you parents out there, especially you Israelite parents, you so-called Black, Latino, and Native American parents, you all are going to have a choice to make. Because if you choose not to send your child to a school, you have to realize the consequences that are involved with this. This includes the fact that you may have to stay home, or you may have to find a family member to watch your child, or you may have to homeschool your child. All right, the time is coming in this world where you have to stand up for something. You have to say, hey, where do I draw the line in the sand? We're at a time where your character truly has to show. As it's, I can't think of it right now. Let me put it on pause and find it. Okay, I found some good ones. All right. It's as I said, we're coming into a time where you're going to have to stand up for something. Your character is going to be tested. And this is Wisdom of Solomon 3 and 4. It says, for though they be punished in the sight of men, okay, that not allowing your child to go to school, because you better believe once a lot of parents stop sending their children to school, it's not going to stop there. They're going to get to the point where they're going to mandate that it's going to be illegal to homeschool your children. Then you'll have to make another choice. They're not just going to stop here, all right? It says, for though they be punished in the sight of men, yet is their hope full of immortality. Meaning that, hey, man, this is just a light affliction. This is something we got to go through and overcome until the Lord brings us back. Okay, and it says, and having been a little chastised, they shall be greatly rewarded, for the Most High proved them and found them worthy for himself. As gold in the furnace hath he tried them, and received them as a burnt offering. All right, because making the choice of your child not going to school, this is just one of many things where your character is going to be tested. And we're going to go to Ecclesiastes, or Ecclesiasticus 2, and I think it's 5, or it could be 2 and 6. Ecclesiasticus 2 and 4. It said, whatsoever is brought upon thee, take cheerfully. This situation with the school, and be patient when thou art changed to a low estate. Like I said, You could be in a situation where you're doing all right as long as your children are going to school. But what happens when you've made up your mind that you don't want your child to be subjected to random boogeyman testing? As I said before, that means you may have to stay home from work, or your spouse may have to stay home from work, or you may have to work overtime so you can pay for a babysitter. All right. What are you willing to do when that pressure is on you? Okay. It says, and be patient when thou art changed to a low estate, for gold is tried in the fire, and acceptable men in the furnace of adversity. Because as I said before, they're not going to stop with this. Because you better believe, if by chance many people say no, we're not going for this, watch what I tell you. They're going to make it so that it's going to get to a point where they're going to mandate that either one, homeschooling is illegal, or they're going to have the restrictions so tight that if you do stay home, it's going to be so heavily regulated that if you don't follow it, there are going to be some type of consequences. I don't know, DCFS might come in, or who knows. The point is that regardless of what type of evil and wicked draconian measures they put in place to secure this power, will you stand up for what is right? That's all I'm saying. Will you stand up for what is right? Because quite frankly, I have a child. He's not going to get the boogeyman. Plain and simple. And whatever happens, it's going to happen. But what I do know is that, as the scripture said, I will trust in the Lord and he'll make a way. And you all have to be on the same mentality. Because this is coming to Chicago soon. Very, very soon. So that's all I wanted to say on this. And until the next time, we hope you were edified. Shalom.